In this video, we will be discussing about the business services. In the previous video, we had discussed about goods and services, difference between goods and services, and we discussed the various services, business services. Okay. In this video, we will discuss the first two, that is banking and insurance. Now, what do we mean by banking? In simple words, or in common man's words, bank is a place where we can deposit the money, which we can withdraw at the time of requirement, where we get checks which can be issued to someone else, we can transfer money. Okay, we get locker facility. Okay, so from the Banking Regulation Act 1949, the definition of banking is means banking means accepting deposits for the purpose of lending or investment of deposits of money from the public, repayable on demand or otherwise, and withdrawal by check, draft, otherwise order or otherwise. Okay, that means bank is accepting deposits from the public which is payable on the demand by the public, or it is payable through the check or otherwise, like bank draft is there and all. Okay, so from the public's point of view, the various types of bank accounts are: first one is saving account, which is opened by the general public, which accepts deposits, provide them loan. Okay, in saving account, the rate of interest is more than the current account. Okay, in current account no interest is given. Okay, saving account allows the account holder to withdraw money, uh, provides few checks free of cost. Okay, then comes current account, which is opened by the business, okay, enterprises. It allows unlimited access to the account. There are various other facilities like overdraft is there, credit cash credit is there. Okay, generally current account do not allow interest on deposits, whereas it some of the banks charges uh, for the services provided by it. Okay, so saving account is opened generally by general public, current account by business enterprises. Then comes recurring deposits. From the word recurring means regular. Okay, at regular interval the account holder is depositing money, say rupees 1000 every month, or rupees 5000 in the beginning of every month, like that. Okay, so recurring deposit is done on a regular basis, and the rate of interest is normally higher. It is done for a longer period, say 5 years and all. After that the amount is payable along with interest. Okay, it helps the public in saving their amount. Okay, fixed deposit, generally a fixed big amount is deposit for a fixed duration, the rate of interest is higher. Then comes multiple option deposits. This is a new type of account provided by the private sector banks generally. In this the fixed deposit account benefit is also provided along with saving account features. Okay, that means a certain amount, after a certain amount, the account holder's money will be transferred to a fixed deposit account, where he will get higher rate of interest. Then the types of bank: commercial bank, the banks generally we deal with: SBI, PNB, Punjab National Bank, ICICI. These bank accept deposit from the general public, open saving account, current account. They provide them loan, they provide them check facility. Then demand draft is there. Okay, cash credit is there, locker facility is there. All these facilities are provided by commercial banks. Okay, then cooperative banks, as we have discussed, no, cooperative societies, they are created or formed with the objective of supporting their members, providing them loans at a lower rate of interest. Okay, then specialized banks. Okay, like industrial banks are there, which are set up with the objective of providing loans to the industries. for upgradation purpose. Then Exim Banks, Export Import Bank is there, which deals in the export sector only. Okay. Then Central Bank, the bank which has the authority to issue currency notes. In India it is RBI. Now some important services, like as we discussed, commercial banks, some of the services are accepting deposits, providing them loan. Okay. In addition to that, they provide bank draft facility. Okay. Where draft is prepared by the bank, which can be used for making the payments. Okay. Overdraft facility in case of current account holders, their check will not be bounced in case their amount is less than the amount written on the check. Similarly, cash credit, it's a form of short term loan. Pay orders, short and medium term loans are provided by the banks. That e-banking or internet banking is the latest addition to the banking. Earlier the customers had to go to the bank for every transaction. Okay. Now there is no need, there is a virtual system on the internet. Okay. With the help of computer, mobile, internet, the customers can withdraw money, deposit money, transfer money. Okay. So we can say e-banking or internet banking is a part of virtual banking and another delivery channel for customers, and it is becoming nowadays very popular. Okay. There are various methods through which people can undertake internet banking. Okay. So in another words, we can say internet banking means user with a PC. You can add mobile also. Nowadays mobile is a very popular hardware to access internet. Okay. And a browser can get connected to the bank website to perform any of the virtual banking functions. Okay. Mobile internet is also there, mobile banking. Okay. With apps, specialized apps, you can access your account. Okay. With the bank. So e-banking offers various range of services. First one is electronic fund transfer, EFT. In that the two services mentioned here is NEFT. Okay. And then RTGS. Okay. These both have their own meaning. That NEFT stands for National Electronic Fund Transfer and RTGS real time gross settlement. Up to 2 lakh NEFT is preferred and above 2 lakh RTGS is preferred. NEFT is done on a net basis. Okay. Whereas RTGS settlements are done on gross basis. Okay. Then a new addition is IMPS, immediate payment system. Nowadays it is becoming very popular because the fund is transferred within few seconds. Okay. It is much faster than RTGS and NEFT. Okay. Then comes automated teller machines, ATMs. Nowadays again, after the COVID, these ATMs are not so popular because of the cash transactions. People want less contact, no? So ATMs are also becoming less popular now. Then point of sales, where you can swipe your credit card, debit card. Okay. Like petrol pump, no, machine is there where you use your debit card or credit card. It is known as point of sale, where sale is taking place. Okay. Even you go to malls or big restaurants, you can use your credit card. The machine, you can, on the machine you can swipe and the amount is transferred. That is point of sale. Then unified payment interface, it is a very popular interface in India. Okay. It is a platform, various apps are there, Paytm is there, then Google Pay is there. Okay. At the end, see, end of this line, no, in the fourth point I have written unified payment interface. It's a platform, and the example of that is Bharat interface, BHIM app. No, BHIM is created by government. Okay. Bharat interface for money. Then Paytm is there, Phone Pay is there, Google Pay. These all are the apps which are using the UPI platform. Then credit card, debit card, e-cash, mobile wallets are there. No, nowadays various apps are providing you wallets. Okay. So, and cash benefits and all. So there are various methods through which you can use internet banking or e-banking, electronic banking. What are the benefits of e-banking? That it gives you 24-hour access throughout the week. it is more convenient. There is no need for you to go to the bank. You don't have to use lot of your time, okay, going to the bank, coming back, okay. Using your mobile or computer, you can save lot of time and traveling, okay. Unlimited access, there is no limitation, okay. In case of if you are going to the bank, in saving account and all, withdrawal limit is has been set up, okay. But here in case of internet banking, no such limit is there. You can access any time and n number of times. Transparency, since proper records are maintained and the customer is also having access to the records, so a transparency is maintained and it's less risky because it is transparent, the records are maintained, the customer is dealing, so the risk is less, and even if some wrong transactions happen, it can be easily corrected. Then insurance services beta. It is an agreement between one party which is paying some consideration in return of the guarantee that his losses will be made good, okay. In another words, we can say insurance service is a contract or agreement in which one party agrees in return for a consideration to pay an agreed amount of money to another party to make good a loss. Whatever loss is there, it will be compensated in return of the regular consideration, which is known as premium, okay. Insurance service is a contract between two parties. The party which gets the property or life insured is known as insured, and the firm which is providing the insurance facility is called insurer, okay. And the agreement between them will be known as policy. Principle of insurance: utmost good faith, okay. According to this principle, the insurer and the insured should have good faith on each other. They should respect each other and uh, inform all the correct information to each other. They should not hide anything from each other, okay. According to this principle, it is based on utmost good faith. Both insurer as well as insured must display good faith towards each other. That means insurer is required to disclose all the terms and conditions of the contract. That means he should explain his policy, insurance policy, properly to the insured, and insured is required to provide full correct details and material information related to the policy he is taking. That means they both should trust each other and disclose correct information. Insurable interest. The insured must have insurable interest in the subject matter. That means he should have some economic interest. Without the economic interest or pecuniary interest, no person can take insurance of the life or the property, okay. So I am reading the point. The principle states that the insured must have an insurable interest. And what is insurable interest? It is the pecuniary interest, okay, in the subject matter, life or property. That means if any damage happens to the property, the insured should suffer some economic loss, okay. Now see, this one is important. Insurable interest differs from under different insurance contracts, okay. Like in case of life insurance, insurable interest must exist at the time of policy is taken and not necessary at the time of when the claim is made, okay. So at the time of taking the policy in life insurance, there should be insurable interest. In case of fire insurance, the insurable or general insurance, insurable interest must be present at the time of taking the insurance policy and at the time of loss also, okay. And in case of marine insurance, the insurable interest must exist at the time of the loss, okay. It may not be necessary that at the time of taking the policy insurable interest is there in case of insurable interest, okay. That means insurable interest is the economic interest of the insured, okay. Indemnity. According to this principle, the insured will be indemnified. His losses will be made good. He cannot make profit out of insurance. Okay, and this principle of indemnity is not applicable on life insurance. Okay, so we can say that insured can get only the compensation of the actual loss suffered by him. He cannot make any profit out of that event. Okay, and see, in case of loss of the insured will be paid the actual loss or the policy whichever is less. Okay, he cannot make profit, and this principle of indemnity is not applicable on life insurance. Okay, then causa proxima or nearest cause. Say there are certain risks which are covered under the policy. There may be various reasons due to which the loss may be incurred. Okay, and if that reason is not mentioned in the insurance policy, in that case the insurance company will not compensate. But see here, this point is important. Okay, but if the losses are incurred due to reasons not stated in insurance policy, then this insurance principle is followed. Okay, and according to this principle, when the loss is the result of two or more causes, the proximate, that means the nearest cause of the loss should be taken into account to determine the loss or liability of the insurer. Okay, if the nearest cause is mentioned in the policy, in that case the insurance company will be compensating, otherwise it will not compensate that. Okay, now subrogation. Okay, according to this principle, once the insurance company compensates the losses or damages, the ownership of the property will automatically be transferred to the insurer, so that the insured do not make profit by selling the property. Okay, once the property is destroyed and the compensation is received, the ownership will transfer to the insured. Okay, the principle of subrogation applies to all insurance contract where the contract of indemnity is applicable. That means it is not applicable to the life insurance. Okay, subrogation does not apply to the life, accident or sickness, as they are not covered by the principle of indemnity. In this subrogation principle, the ownership of the property will transfer to the insurance company once it has compensated the losses. Then contribution. In this case, if the insurer has taken insurance from two or more companies, then according to this principle, the insurance company will contribute the losses. Okay, then the insurers will contribute the amount of loss in proportion to the amount assured by each one of them and compensate the actual loss. So all the insurance companies will contribute towards the losses. Okay, here the insured cannot take full amount from different insurance companies. Okay, because if he is getting full amount from each company, he will be making profit. Then principle of mitigation. According to the principle, the insured should act as if his property is not insured. He should take all steps to minimize his loss, like a prudent person. Okay, according to this, it is the duty of the insured that he must take reasonable steps to minimize the loss or damage the insured property. Okay, as if he has not taken the insurance policy. The insured should not become careless for his property after taking insurance policy. Okay, and if it is found that insured did not take steps to minimize the loss which a prudent normal person is expected to take, the insurer can cancel the claim. He may reject the claim. He may not compensate for the losses. Okay, now two terms, insurance and assurance. Life insurance is a contract of assurance where the sum assured is bound to be paid whether the insured suffers a loss or not, whereas the most of the insurances are contract of insurance, like property insurance or vehicle insurance are contract of insurance. He will be compensated if there is a damage or loss, otherwise the claim there will be no claim. Okay, the term insurance is used when the risk is uncertain, it may happen or it may not happen, whereas the term insurance is used when the risk is certain and it is bound to happen. Okay, like in case of life insurance, on maturity or on death, so any one of this will be happening. Okay, in insurance the compensation is paid only on the happening of the event. In assurance the compensation is paid whether the event happens or not. Like death insurance is taken if the person dies, but if he doesn't dies and the policy matures, the amount will be paid. Okay, so life insurance is an example of contract of assurance, and vehicle insurance, fire insurance, marine insurance, cattle insurance are contract of insurance, where on the happening of event only the compensation will be paid, the losses will be indemnified. Whereas in case of life insurance, there is assurance that the amount is bound to be paid. Okay.